Hello there and welcome to On Port. It is proudly brought to you by Ghana Revenue Authority, also Ghana Oil Company Limited, GOIL, Ghana Community Network Services, GCNet, and West Blue Consulting. Our proud media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Folks, this week has been very loaded for the port and maritime industry, and I am sure that you know what I am talking about, because it is in this week that His Excellency the Vice President announced quite a number of impactful measures on the port and maritime industry. We'll be talking about that pretty shortly. Also in this week, the International Maritime Organization's Secretary General has been in town. He took part in a very major conference organized by the women within the maritime industry. Also, we will be talking about that, plus many more happening around the port and maritime industry. Now let's commence with that of His Excellency the Vice President and the government of Ghana. The Vice President has announced a reduction of 50% in all benchmark values of goods. Also, he has announced a 30% reduction of benchmark values of cars that are imported within this country. In addition to those, quite a number of areas have been tweaked. The Vice President is calling for a flat rate for the ports and customs as well. He's also calling for quite a number of measures. Let's pay attention to some of the things the Vice President himself had to say.
Our ports remain important national assets, and we must manage it to improve trade to the benefit of all Ghanaians. Government has devoted considerable energy over the last 2 years with different stakeholders, shippers, importers, exporters, freight forwarders, traders, spare part dealers, listening to their concerns. What was baffling to us was that even though the MPP government had not increased import duties, there were persistent complaints that duties at the ports were high. So government set up a ports review committee to review the competitiveness of Ghana's ports within the West African region. Import handling charges are higher in TEMA than in any port in West Africa, while nearly 90% of containers that come to TEMA are physically examined. Physically, they open them and staff them, examine and restaff them. 90% are physically examined, only about 5% are subject to physical examination in any modern port. The benchmark values we found also applied by customs to various commodities in the computation of import duties in TEMA are much higher than in Lomé, Abidjan, and Dakar. So, ladies and gentlemen, for importers, the choice is clear. There is an increasing, the data shows that there is an increasing diversion of trade away from TEMA port, and the smuggling of many items into Ghana is very tempting. Let me give you this data. Just think about this. Container volumes in Lomé port between 2013 and 2018 have gone up by 300%. Annually, Ghana, between 2013 and 2016, container volumes have increased by 4.1%. So we are looking at 4.1% against 300%. So because of this, Cabinet, after considering all of this, has decided to implement some new reforms at the port. Cabinet is making these reforms, these decisions with the objective of increasing trade facilitation and efficiency and revenue. Port revenue depends on volume. Port revenue depends on volume. So if you don't have the trade facilitation, you will not have the volume. And if you don't have the volume, you will not have the revenue. And this is what they're thinking that is informing these decisions. So we are looking at increasing revenue to reduce the incidence of smuggling and enhance revenue. The benchmark delivery values of imports will be reduced by 50%. However, for vehicles, the reduction will be 30%. This is because vehicles already attract an amount of depreciation, which if you factor it in, it will take you closer to the 50%. The physical examination of containers in the port is to reduce, the benchmark we've given customs is to reduce the physical examination of containers at the port from 90% currently to 10% by June. Customs and other government operatives at the ports should adhere to the recommendations of the risk engine under the paperless regime. The risk engine determines whether it's green, red, yellow, or red. We should adhere, modern ports adhere to the risk engine. But sometimes when they say it's green, they say we still have to inspect. So we want to move away from that, and customs is being directed to do that, and they've started the process actually. The risk engine allows for the incorporation of specific intelligence on containers. And where containers are selected by the risk engine for examination, there will be a joint examination which must include national security. So the joint examination should always include national security. You should never have a situation where there are separate examinations of containers by national security at the gate, right? So you should all be there. Once the container is leaving the gate, it's just to make sure they've done all of it and let them leave the gate. So we don't expect that. Government, to plug the leak, will also begin, if all goes well, with the implementation of the First Port Rule in June 2019, so that we are seeing a lot of increase in transit traffic, and we think this is part of the smuggling. And we are going to implement a First Port Rule, which means that if you say, I'm going to Burkina, you go to the Burkina desk and pay your duty before you leave the port. So if you are going to Niger, you go to the Niger desk, pay your duty and go. So no duty, no exit. That's the First Port Rule. And we want, going forward, to have a flat-free structure for the port and customs changes for any new single window operation, no longer a structure depending on the percentage of the value of the goods. Subject to parliamentary approval, we are going to review a number of charges. So we will be doing a review of a number of charges: the maritime security charge, the export and import charge by the Shippers Authority, the importer registration fees, the Easy Pass levy, and also the Eco levy, which is a $7 per new tire charge and so on. Cabinet has directed that we should review them. Some of them are not necessary, and send the recommendations to Parliament, and Parliament will make the necessary changes. To deal with the lack of information, ladies and gentlemen, since we are in a digitized age, there's usually a lack of, when you've brought in a container, you don't really know the status of the container in the clearance process. A mobile application has been developed that will enable importers check the status of their consignment and also the import duty payable online. So this application is available online at the Google Play Store now, and will also be available on iTunes if it is already not available. It is called Ghana Trade Hub.
Day in and day out, like you can see behind me, heavy vessels, huge vessels across the entire globe are bringing in cargo in the form of imports. Now, we import in this country quite a lot, and we do a little bit of some export here and there, but government says that even though we are hoping to export a lot more, they can realize that people import a lot more. So let's make importation of goods into this country a little bit cost effective, for which reason the Vice President made those announcements. But to what extent is this going to be implemented on the ground? How much of ease will it be for the implementers? And that's a Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority who will be on the ground there. So my man and producer general of Iron Port, Solomon Anderson, sat with the Assistant Commissioner of Customs, the sector commander at the TEMA port, to find out how his men are ready to embrace this directive coming from the Vice President.
Have you started implementing this?
Yeah, we started the implementation.
And how is it going so far?
Yeah, you know, in the case of vehicles, so far, we started receiving declarations based on the values depreciated or reduced as announced by the Vice President yesterday. You know, vehicles, we have what is known as the HDV, that's the home delivery value, which is already depreciated by 50% where the vehicle is 5 years and over. Okay, but now with the new directive, we're supposed to reduce the ADV by 30% before we start any depreciation. And as I speak, I went to the car park to verify it's true. Declarations have started coming based on the new assessment.
Because of the fact that this was asked to take immediate effect, was there any challenge in its implementation?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We all heard it that the target is for a physical examination to be reduced to 10%.
Yeah.
Already.
From 90%.
From 90, yeah.
Okay.
So before then we were doing 75% or so. Then 15–20% was going through scan. So what we have started now is to reduce physical inspection from 75% to 30% at the port.
Okay.
And then non-intrusive inspection, that is the scan. It's not physical inspection, yes, the scan will also go to 30%. Then 40% will go without any customs physical examination, no customs examination at all. So that is how we started it. The target is 10% physical examination, which very soon we'll get there, and full implementation of that directive will be done by that time.
Would this directive also make our ports competitive?
Yeah, we got it right, and yes. No, when you hear of competition or yeah, that means there are other, you know, players in the industry, and if you want to compete first, you have to make sure you have cost reduction. So as a port, and we are all players here at the port, if we are able to work in such a way that the transaction cost to whoever our clients and customers who come to the port is gone down, definitely it will attract more cargo to pass through the TEMA. Because don't forget, we have competitors there. Lomé port is there, and then the La Côte d'Ivoire too, we have Abidjan port, and they are all competing with TEMA port.
And also, Doc, people were wondering that how significant are these benchmark values that were reduced?
When you apply the rate of duty to the CIF or to the value, that's where you get the duty amount you're going to pay. So once benchmark values have been slashed, then definitely it will have effect on the duty amount one is to pay. It means the duty amount will go down. So that will be the effect.
So the Assistant Commissioner says that everything is ready. His men themselves are also ready to slash all imported goods, the benchmark values of imported goods by 50%, also slash the benchmark values of all cars by 30%. We also heard that it goes beyond just the benchmark values, because as you know and agree with me, there are two forms of values that are being used on imported goods: the transactional value, also the benchmark value. The transactional value is when you use the invoices of the transactions of the goods themselves to determine the value of that good. And then the benchmark is when they use the benchmark, the standard value that custom has set for that particular good. We are told that it's not all goods that are on the benchmark. Some are also on the transactional. But this directive, we are being told that as further directives come, it is supposed to affect both the transactional values of calculating import duties as well as the benchmark values of import duties. So we hit out there, again, my producer general, Solomon Anderson, went out there to find out what the importers and then the freight forwarders make of this directive and how do they receive it.
It's good. I mean, if you look across board from the trading public, even to the ordinary Ghanaian, this news has generated a lot of discussion all over, from TEMA to Takrade to Kumasi to Sunyang. Everywhere you get calls coming over, because this is something that people have been looking forward to for a while now. So it's welcoming. 50% on benchmark values, 30% on duties. 30% on duties is in fact, it's something that nobody anticipated. That it's just refreshing. However, what we want to push forward again is for these changes to reflect on the market.
It's a massive, decision that government has taken. It's a very bold one. The idea for me, the concept behind this is that those who are diverting their containers through our landlord countries, must bring their containers through the port. If the throughput in our port increases, my brother, you and I will get job. Our brothers at Gapoha, the dry dog, everybody will get job. But when they are being diverted to the Côte d'Ivoire and Togo, and then they are tracked back here, we lose a job and then we lose a revenue.
It was a very welcome news that we were all expecting, that one day to come, our duties are going to be slashed down. But our expectation was not up to 50%. We were looking at maybe 20-30. So it's a marvelous work that they've done. I recommend them for that. It's a good job done.
In the next episode of Eye on Port, we will be delving deeper into this issue of benchmark values being slashed by 50% and values of cars being slashed by 30%. And then we will take a look at this business of working it out with the transactional values and bring a lot of clarity and understanding. In the meantime, though, we have seen that some goods have already been slashed, their duties have been slashed. Others are also complaining that their goods have not been affected by the reduction. We will be looking into all of that in the coming week with the experts that be. In the meantime, folks, look behind me. A lot of activities happening. Take a look at that. That's a vessel being towed all the way to the anchorage, where most of the vessels, we call it, they may probably resting before they embark on wherever journey they are going. That's what is being done now. Now the boats are leading that particular vessel out. A lot of activities happen within this maritime business. Some of those boats are manned by ladies, are manned by women. Some of the vessels, the captains are women. And this week, women in the maritime industry are being celebrated. The International Maritime Organization Secretary General took part in a very important conference organized by the Women in Shipping and Transport Association, WISTA, who organized one of their important conferences here in Ghana. Almost lots of the women who are involved in the maritime industry attended that conference, and the IMO Secretary General was equally there.
The 6th Women's International Shipping and Trading Association WISTA Africa Region Conference has been held in Accra with a call for the creation of more opportunities for women participation in the maritime sector, particularly in Africa, to fully harness the huge potentials of the continent's blue economy. The president of WISTA Ghana, Jemilat Jaula Mahama, in a welcome address, implored policymakers and all stakeholders to work at promoting the development of the blue economy to be able to derive the full benefits the sector offers, adding that it is capable of creating opportunities especially for women and girls. The president of WISTA Ghana, Jemilat Jaula Mahama, in a welcome address implored policymakers and all stakeholders to work at promoting the development of the blue economy to be able to derive the full benefit the sector offers, adding that it is capable of creating opportunities especially for women and girls. She also stressed on the need to protect the oceans as they are being threatened by climate change and pollution.
The oceans are the future for human survival, not only because of its resources, but also for the climate. The blue economy concept seeks to promote economic growth, social inclusion, and the preservation or improvement of livelihoods, while at the same time ensuring environmental sustainability of the oceans.
The Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, KITAK, said a baseline data for women development needs to be created, assuring that his outfit is committed to the progress of women, as the World Maritime University has provided a platform where the capacity of women is enhanced in various fields of the maritime industry.
The IMO's Women in Maritime program, IMO has been driving the change toward more gender equality in the maritime professions. This program was initiated in 1988. At that time, only few maritime training institutes opened their door to female students. Since then, IMO has actively supported, promoted access to maritime training and employment opportunity for women in the maritime sectors.
In a speech read on his behalf by the Minister of Transport, Siama, Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia advocated for sustainable opportunities that will engender women participation in the maritime industry, with focus on Africa to fully connect with the huge potentials of its blue economy. He stated that more than half of Africa's population is made up of women, hence the needed support needs to be created to nurture them towards development of the maritime sector.
Women form a very significant portion of population on the continent, and their role in any development effort cannot be ignored. However, the International Transport Workers Federation estimates that only 2% of the world's maritime workforce are women. This, we cannot be proud of it. I believe the time is now to change these statistics by enhancing opportunities for women participation in the sector.
Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia further stated the appointment of the first female director of TEMA Port and chief executive officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority shows how committed government is about empowering women in the sector.
Government is making an effort in empowering women in our governance process. To this end, for the first time in our history, the director of port of TEMA is a woman. His Excellency has also appointed a woman as the Director General of Ghana Shippers Authority. Not only that, the chairperson of the board of Ghana Shippers Authority is also a woman.
So on the sidelines of that conference, most of the women who have made significant impact within the maritime industry, they have steered the affairs of the industry either on terminals level, either on the sea, piloting some of those boats and tugboats, patrol boats, and piloting some of the vessels, decided to share their experiences and thoughts with younger ladies and other ladies who aspire to be within the maritime and transport industry. Now, those who mounted the stage to share ideas regarding their experiences included our own executive producer of this program, On Port, and also the General Manager for Marketing and Corporate Affairs, Mrs. Esther J.B. Donko, as well as our own Director of the Port of TEMA, Mrs. Sandra Opoku. All of them were there. Take a listen.
As part of the 6th West Africa Region Conference held in Accra, a panel discussion was arranged among distinguished women in the maritime and shipping sector who shared their experience working in the field. Esther J.B. Donko, General Manager, Marketing and Corporate Affairs of GPHA, recounted her experience at serving as a terminal manager at the Golden Jubilee Terminal as most challenging. She said although she had been trained adequately for the job, there was a glaring gender imbalance where she assumed her managerial role, which raised eyebrows from the male-dominated department in the port who were skeptical about her competence.
But what I realized when I went to operations was the normal male issues that we are all talking about. You know, that area is so close, it's so male-dominated, I mean the operational area. So the men you are working with are seeing you as can you do it?
Yet, with the support of fellow WISTA peers and self-determination to prove herself, she rose above and performed her duties diligently, provoking her promotion to her current office.
I actually always refer to WISTA sisters. You know, some of them encouraged me and said that, Esther, you need to let them understand that women can do it. And so I went in there and I did my best. Again, I'll say I did my best, but I think that I had some feedback that told me that I was doing very well.
Captain Catherine Hazel, a female captain, also bemoaned challenges at sea where she encountered harsh conditions that were intended to intimidate women, but she soared through the challenges. She encouraged women who have the passion to work at sea to channel self-motivation in order to make it through the challenges.
The sea job is very challenging, particularly going to sea. I mean, you can be in the maritime industry without necessarily going to sea, as our presenter said. But if you choose to go to sea, then you should, maybe I should say you should have some nerves of steel. because it's not easy. The fact is, you are competing with men at sea.
Brahman Chalon, who had contributed to the training of many women at the International Maritime Law Institute, praised amendments made by the International Labour Organization and the International Maritime Organization that have improved working conditions for women seafarers and advocated for more improvements in the future.
And I will say for most classes that I have lectured at IMLI, we have more women in class than we have men. So I will say that in my 5 to 6 years there, I would have in fact been contributed to the training of over 150 to 200 women from all over the world.
So the director of TEMA Port, Mrs. Sandra Opoku, also took the stage to sort of present the position of the Port of Tema, and she dwelled a lot more on ensuring very environmentally friendly and ethical practices going on around the maritime industry.
If we destroy life and we pollute the oceans and skies, yet we have the audacity to call ourselves superior beings. Now the way forward, basically, it's attitudinal change. And we should know that when the damage occurs, the correction will take a lot of money.
So with the visit, the very important visit of the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, IMO, visiting Ghana, the Ministry of Transport, as well as the Ghana Maritime Authority, and then the Regional Maritime University held a dinner on his behalf, where a lot of the stakeholders within the industry also interacted among themselves.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Transport, in collaboration with the Ghana Maritime Authority, also held a dinner in honor of the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, KITACK. The event, which was held at the Labadi Beach Hotel in Accra, brought together ministers of state, members of parliament, stakeholders in the maritime fraternity, among others. The IMO Secretary General, KITACK, asked for massive support for women's development in the maritime industry. He expressed concern over the continuous threats human activities pose to the oceans and the need to protect them from any danger.
We want to encourage the entire maritime community to come together and really commit to ensuring women truly are empowered. I hope you will all join us in these important objectives.
Deputy Minister of Transport, Titus Glover, disclosed that government is bent on developing its blue economy and that Parliament has successfully ratified 6 conventions on the maritime sector, adding that has further projected Ghana's image with regard to growth and safety of the oceanic industry.
We believe that this convention is putting Ghana in a very good light to enhance our maritime trade. Ghana, we all know, is one of the safest areas in doing business, particularly in our waters, because of the high alert we have on our waters to make sure that we entice a lot of business into our country.
Vice President of Liberia, Jewel Howard Taylor, also re-echoed how Africa's blue economy can transform lives. She also called for the creation of more space for women in policy and decision-making positions in various business communities to help bridge the gender gap in the sector.
I believe it is an imperative of all of us to support initiatives for greater inclusion and empowerment of women. And so tonight we salute the IMO for hosting the 6th Congress of Women in the Maritime Sector. It is more important now as we look at the world's view of inspiring, empowering, and sharing the benefits that women bring to the table.
So we're staying with the IMO Secretary General's visit to Ghana, and he inspected a parade at the Regional Maritime University.
The Regional Maritime University has held a parade in honor of the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, KITACK, on his maiden visit to Ghana. The Regional Maritime University, which is a dedicated institution for training maritime, oil and gas and logistics experts for the sub-region, runs the IMO mandatory order of courses, explaining why the university is important to the international organization. The Vice-Chancellor of the Regional Maritime University, Professor Elvis Nyako, remarked that the IMO has been instrumental in the development of the institution in terms of funding and capacity building following its regionalization.
The IMO further provided funding to build staff capacity, and it is also on record that for close to a decade after the regionalization, almost all the students who passed through this institution were trained with full sponsorship from the IMO through the UNDP.
He said the RMU is continuing to advance its educational opportunities in order to contribute its quota to the maritime industry, especially the growing oil and gas industry. The Deputy Minister of Transport, Daniel Titus Glover, emphasized that Ghana remains committed to providing the global maritime industry with skilled personnel, as well as ensuring that international standards of work are adhered to.
The commitment of the government of Ghana to continue to stay abreast with developments within the maritime industry, and also to ensure that Ghanaian seafarers remain relevant in the blue economy, to ensure that IMO and its allied agencies will thrive for efficient delivery of maritime trade in our country.
He said the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Transport and maritime institutions, is ready to collaborate with the IMO to bring optimum development to the global maritime landscape. The Secretary General of the IMO, KITACK, indicated that the maritime industry has gained extreme prominence in the world economy, becoming an indispensable component. Therefore, students should demonstrate commitment to taking advantage of the opportunities handed them in order to further contribute to the work that has been done in the future.
What you are learning, I believe, is the basis for blue economy and the maritime industry. What you are learning is your power in the future. So I hope you study harder. You are already studying hard, but I hope you study harder. You pick up all detail, what you learn, what you are taught from your faculty member.
He acknowledged the university's commitment to adapt to the changing dynamics of the maritime domain and praised government's interest in being supportive. The IMO boss assured that his outfit would continue to reinvent itself to provide international standards that safeguard the environment, provide security, as well as promote efficiency in the maritime domain.
When it comes to the support from government, I had a very strong impression from Transport Ministry and the Maritime Authority for their commitment to support strongly maritime domain in Ghana and the Western African countries.
KITACK was treated to a tour of the entire university complex.
So after inspecting that parade at the RMU, the International Maritime Organization Secretary General also paid a courtesy call on the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority.
The Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, KITACK, has paid a visit to the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority as part of his 3-day visit to Ghana. KITACK, who has served as Secretary General of the IMO since 2016, said he has always wished to visit the port of TEMA. He remarked that he is impressed with the dynamic activities ongoing at the port and expressed pleasure in the direction TEMA Port is taking.
I see, while I'm approaching here, I see very dynamic activities in Port of TEMA. At the same time, I stayed yesterday, arrived the day before yesterday. But I sensed a strong impression from Ghana. People are motivated and commitment, and look how to say, enthusiastic. So I believe that Port of TEMA is one of the most active industry area.
He was received by both directors of Takoradi and TEMA Ports, Captain Ebenezer Afebzi and Sandra Opoko respectively. Captain Ebenezer Afeidzi, director of Takoradi Port, briefed the Secretary General on strides Ghana's ports are taking to make Ghana a trade and logistics hub in the sub-region, paramount of which are the port expansion projects. The Secretary General expressed some concerns with regards to operations at the port terminals. The director of Takoradi Port explained that GPHA, as well as its private operator partners, have shared responsibility so far as port operation is concerned.
As we speak now, we run container operation as they also run container. It is not 100% container operation today, because we also do a part. Yeah, but before they came on board, we were doing it ourselves. And in the port of Takoradi, we do everything ourselves.
The Secretary General of the IMO was pleased to hear that GPHA has a good number of its staff attending the World Maritime University in Malmö, Sweden, and shared a photograph with the alumni. A traditional wall artifact was presented to KITACK for overseeing the productive global maritime industry.
The IMO's SG continued his visit at the Meridian Port Services, where the Terminal 3, the expanded version of the Port of TEMA, is currently ongoing.
In a related development, the IMO Secretary General also visited the Meridian Port Services, where he was received by the CEO, Mohamed Samara, who illustrated in a presentation MPS's projected contribution to the Port of TEMA's vision.
But we are the largest port in terms of volume because of the efficiency that we had and invested in. We became very efficient and we captured a lot of the volume.
The CEO of MPS, Mohamed Samara, disclosed to the IMO Secretary General that the ongoing expansion works would double the TEU capacity of the existing terminals and provide a port that would be sustainable for about 100 years. He said the Port Authority is strategizing to harness the benefits of Ghana's growing economy by making sure the port becomes a hub that unlocks traffic flow of cargo within the sub-region.
That's not only the goal. The goal is also to originate more full containers out of Ghana economy. Today, the ports in Ghana and most ports in Africa is imbalanced. Full is more than the export.
He added that Ghana, like other West African nations, are working tirelessly to bridge the gap between imports and exports.
So, Iron Port crowned the entire visit of the IMO Secretary General with a special interview, trying to find out the intention of the IMO in promoting women within the maritime industry in Ghana as well as in Africa. We also try to find out from him what the IMO is doing about ensuring safety within the waters of Africa, particularly the Gulf of Guinea, and also looking at piracy on the continent of Africa, because almost every week in every bulletin of Iron Port, we hear one piracy attack or the other, particularly somewhere around Nigeria, Lake Cotonou, Cameroon, and all those areas. So what's the IMO doing about that? Fortunately, though, Ghana, we are lucky. We don't see those things here. But in those areas, what are we doing? Because if it affects them, it may also be affecting us sometime if we don't check them.
First of all, it's a pleasure to see you and have you in Ghana. What motivated this visit?
I'm here to attend the conference on women in development in maritime sector. So I had a very good outcome and a very good impression from the conference about women's activities in maritime industry.
What sort of interest has the IMO taken in women within the maritime?
Because nowadays, there is a dramatic change in terms of, thanks to the technological development, like we are moving like a physical power to digital power. So when it comes to digital power, it is more access to women to engage in the maritime sectors. So with that in mind, we are promoting the women in development in the maritime sectors, engagement in maritime sectors, and we are developing awareness of women development in maritime sectors and to the private and public sector as well. So there is a growing development of that initiative.
And in Ghana and Africa, we have quite a number of ladies who are within the industry, do it very well. What's the incentive that's out there coming from IMO for ladies?
I had a very good impression yesterday from women from Ghana mainly, and some from neighboring countries in the African continent. They were very enthusiastic and motivated
to contribute to the maritime industry. Respect to the IMO engagement, IMO is, first of all, we are trying to promote and raise awareness of the women's activities participating in maritime sectors. So with different, by means of different the strategy, we are advertising. Second one, we are trying to provide more opportunity, training for women in maritime sectors, like World Maritime University and International Maritime Law Institute, other short period of courses. So we are providing more opportunity to ladies and female delegates or government officials from private sector as well. And third one, we are holding different kind of activities like a conference or some multi, the stakeholders dialogue, like providing the more job, the opportunity to women's, in maritime sectors. So we are implementing different kind of activities, and also we are holding different kind of diplomatic activities, conference, seminar. This is taking place.
Okay. And beyond the agenda of women, what sort of other policies is coming from the IMO that those in the industry, Ghana and Africa, should be aware? Because I understand that you have this exchange of data electronically policy that's coming up and all of that.
The main function of IMO is producing like a universal platform for shipping maritime business by adopting, implementing global regulation for safety and environment protection and for efficiency of shipping. So that is the main function. So we see great potential of Ghana in terms of development of maritime industry and activities. So we are collaborating with mainly government of the Ghana and also private sector as well to promote their activities in maritime sector. So TEMA and also Takoradi is one of example. There should be a good collaboration in shipping and port business, and based on the platform produced by the International Maritime Organization.
Okay. In terms of maritime security, there have been a couple of news around piracy and all of that. What's been done from the IMO's perspective in ensuring safety in the maritime?
Yeah, we have had a very good precedent in the Gulf of Aden, which started in 2006. So far, there is a big development and good, well-organized mechanism in place. But here in the Gulf of Aden, there is a concern. But there has been some basic dialogue how to handle this one and communicate with the member state. But we believe we have reached a certain time when we needed to strengthen substantial effort to tackle these issues. So we are having planning dialogue among littoral countries, exchange views, and about the strategies how to promote their capacity to tackle this one. So we are having plan to step by step increase activities one. Also, this is certain issues, not only relevant to the IMO, but also we have to, secure certain further, support from our member state or regional body, believing this is like a global challenges which is resolved properly.
That was the IMO Secretary General talking to us about plans to grow the maritime industry and improve the skills of women within the maritime industry, also ensuring safety on the maritime waters of our continent of Africa, and particularly West Africa and Ghana in particular as well. On Port return after break.
Here's innovation from Goyle that takes you further. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead. Expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Hello. Good morning. This is Samantha Wendy. I am sending a purchase order from SA2 Ventures International. Our policy for new supplies is 2 containers to start with, but you must deliver within 30 days.
Don't worry at all. I'm going to get you the 4 containers within 30 days or less. Bye.
To get his pineapple slices from his country to his clients overseas, Mr. Appiah and his representatives have to complete a number of regulatory compliance procedures to various international trade stakeholders.
Hey, Baba, what's going on? Get it right? I mean, how? Hey.
Using single window, Mr. Appiah has completed all his international trade procedures through one portal. He has registered his company information, applied for the necessary permit, certificates and licenses, and all that remains is for him to get a text alert for clearance and movement of goods. And that's how simple facilitating international trade could be in a single window environment. You can offer competitive services to your trading partners in China, America, even here in a simpler, faster, and cost-effective way. Single window, the only way to Ghana's economic growth, is in our hands. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Union Économique et Monétaire, UEMOA, the Government of Ghana, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and the Ghana Shippers Authority presents the 8th 2019 Borderless Alliance Conference in Ghana. Theme: Facilitating Intra-Regional Trade in West Africa. The Emerging Trends. Date: 24th to 26th April 2019. Venue: Sweet Spirit Hotel Aliza, Accra, Ghana. All are cordially invited. For online registration, please contact www.borderlesswestafrica.com/Ghana 2019.
From September 1st, Ghana is going 100% paperless at the port.
No, we are here for all of us our interest, not for any individual interest.
As for paperless, no dear. But we need more education.
Any situation which throws light is a good situation. On Port is a perfect intervention.
On Port is also adding to the growth of the countries going forward in development.
On Port has come to upgrade and promote the industry.
This is On Port, now interactive, showing live on Metro TV every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. On Port, transparency in doing business and building nation. Proudly brought to you by Welcome back from the break. You're still watching On Port, and Ghana Oil Company Limited, the proud sponsor of this program, says that they will continue to support truck drivers who cut goods from Ghana to across our borders. So if you're a truck driver, you're looking for the best fuel for your truck, you don't have to turn anywhere. GOIL is your answer. They have a very nice depot all the way in Tamale, and they want you to continue to purchase GOIL wherever you go, and you get the best of fuel to cart your goods to your destination. Next up, news and activities around the port industry, including GOIL's readiness to fuel your truck.
The leading oil marketing company in the country, GOIL, has assured customers in the 3 northern regions of Ghana of constant supply of fuel to ensure their satisfaction. According to the head of the GOIL depot in the northern region, Albert Kanzoni, the GOIL depot situated in the northern region has enough stock to meet the demand of customers in the 3 northern regions.
Once we GO Energy have enough product here, GOIL station will not lack any product. Even if GO Energy don't have, we buy from other BDCs who also have product here. So GOIL stations are always with product.
The facility, he said, receives products from bulk distribution companies and treats them for onward distribution to over 30 GOIL service stations in the 3 northern regions. Albert Canzoni stated that GOIL products that are distributed are of high quality, which goes a long way to ensure the longevity of vehicle engines.
You see GOIL cars with Super SP, Diesel SP. It's a quality product. If you take that product, your engines, for some time to come, your engine sound will change. And it propels water. In case the product has water and that chemicals are there, the water would automatically go out. So GOIL product is a very quality.
He expressed joy over the fact that the people of the 3 northern regions have embraced GOIL products because they get value for their money after purchase and satisfaction is guaranteed.
The customer within the northern region, they are doing very well. They are buying from us. They are buying from us, and then they like our products. Yes, as for the customer satisfaction is guaranteed because we don't just load and send to them. We make sure that when we load the truck, we make sure the truck is got to the destination on time.
International port news next.
London Court of International Arbitration has ordered the Republic of Djibouti to pay $385 million plus interest for violating Durale Container Terminal's DCT exclusivity rights. As informed, the tribunal found that by developing new container port opportunities with China Merchants Holdings International, a Hong Kong-based port operator, Djibouti had breached DCT's rights under the 2006 concession agreement to develop a container terminal at Durale. Specifically, Djibouti breached DCT's exclusivity over all container handling facilities in the territory of Djibouti. In February last year, Djibouti terminated the concession of the container terminal, which had been given in 2006 to DCT, a company 33.34% controlled by Dubai-based port and terminal operator DP World and 66.66% by Port de Djibouti. Djibouti claimed that the agreement contained severe irregularities and threatened the national interest and sovereignty of Djibouti. The tribunal has now ruled that Djibouti violated DCT's exclusivity by developing container facilities at Durale Multipurpose Terminal, with further damages possible if Djibouti develops Durale International Container Terminal DICT, a planned container terminal with any other operator without the consent of DP World. The tribunal found that in respect of the development of the Djibouti multipurpose port facility, the facts are clear. At no stage before the decision was made to go ahead with that facility with China Merchants did Djibouti offer DCT the right to develop the proposed container facilities at the DMP. Djibouti was therefore in breach of Clause 3.63 of the concession agreement. China Merchants also operate a $3.5 billion free trade zone it developed pursuant to an agreement with Djibouti, in contravention of DP World's exclusivity right to develop and operate such a free zone under its own concession, which is the subject of other litigation proceedings. The tribunal also ordered Djibouti to pay DCT $148 million for historic non-payment of royalties for container traffic not transferred to DCT once it became operational. Djibouti is also ordered to pay DCT's legal cost. What is more, the tribunal recognizes that the 2006 concession agreement remains valid and binding, as has also been confirmed by another London Court of International Arbitration Tribunal and the London Courts. This is the 5th substantial ruling in DCT and DP World's favor on disputes relating to the Durale terminal. 4 crew members of a Liberian-flagged container vessel have been kidnapped by pirates of Cameroon. The incident involving the 1,100 TEU conship Ook occurred on March 30, 2019, according to information provided by Vessel's Value. Pirates attacked the feeder max while the ship was anchored in Douala, outer anchorage, and took the seafarers with them. Built in China in 2007, Conship Ook is owned by a Greece-based shipping company, Conships. World Maritime News contacted Conships for more details on the incident. However, The company is yet to reply. As of April 2, 2019, the ship remains moored in Douala in the Gulf of Guinea. Back in 2010, the container ship was also targeted by perpetrators. In September that year, robbers boarded conch-ship Oak from a wooden motorboat off Manila Bay. However, robbers escaped after the crew raised the alarm and masted. Hong Kong-based port operator COSCO Shipping Port signed an investment agreement with Guangzhou Nansha Economic and Technology Development Zone Commercial Bureau. Under the deal, the company plans to develop Phase 1 of Terminal Extended Business in the land near Nansha Stevedoring Corporation Limited of Port of Guangzhou and Guangzhou South China Ocean Gate Container Terminal Company Limited in order to develop port supply chain platform and a high-end warehousing business, as well as extend the upstream and downstream industries. Leveraging on Nansha Free Trade Zone's policy and favorable geographical position, the company plans to establish a supply chain platform to develop various businesses. Phase 1 of the project covers a construction area of about 254,000 meters square and consists of warehousing, comprehensive service areas and supporting facilities relying on the resource advantages of COSCO Shipping Group in shipping, ports, trade, logistics and finance. The company will build a high-standard port supply chain base, integrating logistics, warehousing and business support services.
Hello? Good morning, this is Samantha Wendy. I am sending a purchase order from SA2 Ventures International. Our policy for new supplies is 2 containers to start with, but you must deliver within 30 days.
Don't worry at all. I'm going to get you the 4 containers within 30 days or less. Bye.
To get his pineapple slices from his country to his clients overseas, Mr. Appiah and his representatives have to complete a number of regulatory compliance procedures to various international trade stakeholders.
Hey, Baba, what's going on? Get it right? I mean, how?
Using single window, Mr. Appiah has completed all his international trade procedures through one portal. He has registered his company information, applied for the necessary permit, certificates and licenses, and all that remains is for him to get a text alert for clearance and movement of goods. And that's how simple facilitating international trade could be in a single window environment. You can offer competitive services to your trading partners in China, America, even here in a simpler, faster and cost-effective way. Single window, the only way to Ghana's economic growth is in our hands.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead. Expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, Union Économique et Monétaire, UEMOA, the Government of Ghana, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and the Ghana Shippers Authority presents the 8th 2019 Borderless Alliance Conference in Ghana. Theme: Facilitating Intra-Regional Trade in West Africa. The Emerging Trends. Date: 24th to 26th April 2019. Venue: Sweet Spirit Hotel Alisa, Accra, Ghana. All are cordially invited. For online registration, please contact www.borderlesswestafrica.com/Ghana 2019.
From September 1st, Ghana is going 100% paperless at the ports.
No, we are here for all of us our interests, not for any individual interest.
As for paperless, no dear. But we need more education.
Any situation which throws light is a good situation. Eye on Port is a perfect intervention.
Eye on Port is also adding to the growth of the country's going forward and development.
Eye on Port has come to upgrade and promote the industry.
This is Eye on Port, now interactive, showing live on Metro TV every Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eye on Port, transparency in doing business and building nation. Proudly brought to you by.
Next up are schedules of vessels, those that are already in the port, those that are also leaving the port, those at anchorage where the vessel is going, those expected in the coming week, plus all the Bank of Ghana exchange rates that you need to clear your goods out of the port. Next. As always, we continue to encourage you to send your comments to us as far as doing business around the port is concerned. Reduction in some of the import duties, and then also reduction in a number of stress when it comes to doing business around the port. We hope that you get satisfied. If you don't get satisfied, write to us. If you get satisfied, write to us. A few of your comments.
Maxwell from Tichiman says, I am an importer and I am grateful to the President and his vice for reducing duties at the port. I have always maintained that the cost of doing business at our ports is expensive. Kudos to the government. Joshua Noom says, now I can import my cars and goods because duties at the ports have been slashed. I want to urge the government to stabilize the city, also so that the impact of the reduction will be felt more. And quite a lot more congratulatory messages keep pouring in for the newly appointed director of TEMA Ports, Sandra Opoku. Hannah Kofi says, congrats, madam. Nancy Okuma Kwesen says, congratulations, Lady Sandra Opoku, for this achievement. Stella Asase says, congratulations. Marcelina Akofa DJD Nanevi, congratulations, great woman. Henry Pratt also said, congratulations, my madam. I pray God sees you through this new post.
So those were some of your comments, and we encourage you to continue to send a lot more of those comments to us, and we will endeavor to share them with the relevant authorities and the rest of the world. Thanks for watching the program. Also, thanks a lot to the men and women who make this program very possible. William Abeku Kena takes us everywhere we want to go. Robert Nyantechi, Godwin Kabute, Solomon Anderson, Flavia Akpai, also Joe Lavo, Joe Bone, executive producers of this program, Nana Isi Suduberg, and Esther JB Donko. Thanks for watching.